Aiden, what you doing? You can't go up the slide.
Does he like to go down them?
Yeah, sometimes. He's still nervous about that.
Yeah.
Like he wants me to go with him. Sits on my lap.
Being a working parent, how have you been able to balance work, life, and life as the mom of Aiden?
I've basically had to give up my career goals, you know. Basically, like, you know, take jobs that would be flexible with me, even if it was a terrible job, even if it was sucked, you know. And that's hard because I am a very career-driven person, you know that. And that's just my sacrifice. So when I go on interviews, I just recently had to go on an interview, and I have to say, hey, you know, I have this situation. I have a special needs kid, and I need flexibility. And sometimes he has a lot of appointments, sometimes he doesn't, you know, sometimes. But then when you start talking like that, they start judging you, and they start thinking, oh, you're not going to do this job.
He's nonverbal, but he understands. And it says outside of the school, does he have much interaction with children? And if so, explain what that interaction is like.
No, he doesn't have any interaction with children, except for my nephew. There's kids in the neighborhood that live directly across the street that have met Aiden, know him, and have kids the same age, and they don't invite him to the birthday parties. They're kind of in their little groups, and that's what they do. They're just in groups. They get in their groups, and they don't include children like Aiden, and I don't know why. Like I said, I had one experience last summer, and it was a program, and the main person over the program, who's over inclusion services, said to me, because the first conversation we had was, he needs help going to the bathroom. So that seems to be the problem. That's the stipulation. We don't help kids go to the bathroom. We have a policy. Well, to me, that's not a special need. There's kids that are still potty training that are 4 and 5 that may have accidents, that may need help, right, occasionally. That's not a special need. So a couple months later, we had another conversation about getting him from that program into another city program. And her comment to me was, Aiden, come here, buddy, come here. Her comment to me was, well, didn't you say that you were trying to help him learn how to potty himself? And I was like, wow. And it was like, she wasn't even talking about the same kid. I was like, you're like, you've never even talked about Aiden before. That's a long process, and if you are over inclusion services, shouldn't you know more about how disability works and special needs works? And it was fine. It's fine if you have the conversation with parents and you get down to the nitty gritty of what their needs are. Whether you're talking to therapists, you're talking to doctors, and you do ultimately decide that our services that we provide in this program aren't going to fit what he needs. That's fine. But you got to have the conversation first. You can't just make a judgment before you even know anything. And I'll just never forget that day. And she goes, well, will you forgive me? And I said, well, what I want you to do is next time you have this situation, you have an opportunity to help someone with special needs, be a little bit more open-minded. And don't be so quick to judge and just put the ball on it, you know?
What would you do to help make it better for Aiden in his world, but also to give more recognition about, and I see you're not focused just on his disability, you're advocating for children with special needs, period, it seems, for extra special needs, right? What would you do? What would your ideal solution if you receive support?
That's a hard question. That's a hard question. Obviously, I'd want there to be more community resources, whether that be after-school programs, camps, you know. And there is things like that, and I'm not trying to say there's not, but I don't think there's enough, and I think the need is outgrowing what's available, is what I'm saying. So I would, you know, want resources put into building those programs and providing training for people that wanted to be, you know, involved with special needs, you know. And I would want more education at birth, you know, and that was part of one of the research projects I was involved in, was genetic testing at birth. I think we need to be pushing that, so we're not waiting till they're 6 years old to find something out, right? Because I'm medical, you know, a lot of parents aren't medical, and I think navigating this is hard, and they don't understand it. So I think more parent education, you know, all parents, not just parents with special needs kids, but beginning at birth, because the signs to watch for developmental delay, the things to watch for, I think, education, awareness, and community programs. That would be where I would focus my energy.